Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's starting 11 prediction time for tomorrow's game against Kilmarnock at Celtic Park. There's 13 league games to go, and they're all absolutely huge. We're back to league duty after that Scottish Cup victory at St Mirren last weekend, where I think we put in a decent functional performance. We got the job done on the day. Slightly different setup for the manager, playing Kyogo and Idah together. Kyogo a bit deeper, opening the scoring for us. I don't think it was electrifying in any way. I don't think we played swashbuckling attacking football, but as I say, it was functional. We got the job done at a difficult place to go. St Mirren were in good form, and now we come back to league duty, as I say, with these 13 games to go. Kilmarnock have obviously beaten us twice at their place this season, once in the League Cup, once in the league. That last meeting where they turned us over in the second half at Rugby Park was alarming. We followed up by getting beat at home against Hearts the next weekend. So the players should be under no illusions about how difficult this game is going to be tomorrow. Kilmarnock, a physical team, they got in our faces in that second half. I think there should be no shortage of motivation for the players to go and right the wrongs for that day tomorrow. Kilmarnock have been in decent form. 2 draws, 3 wins in their last 5 games, 2 of those in the Scottish Cup, one against Dundee, one last weekend against Cove Rangers. So we know how they play. They will defend deep, but as I say, they can be aggressive and they can be physical. And that was enough to overcome us at Rugby Park back in December. So a much better performance needed, but something to build on for that good victory at St Mirren last weekend. Thinking about these 13 league games to go, some of the challenges we've had in home matches so far this season. I was at Anfield last weekend, and I know there's a big movement to talk about how much the Anfield atmosphere is a myth, and by no means would it blow you away last weekend against Burnley. But the thing that did stand out to me, being at so many Celtic games and then being in a stadium like that, the difference was that the full crowd was engaged. They were positive. They're in a title race. They're about to lose. They're in the last days of one of their greatest ever managers. So I think they want to savour these last league games under Klopp. But the thing that really stood out to me is that it was loud. The full stadium took part in chants, and a really basic chants. Not very many songs, so to speak, but really basic chants. But it was loud, it was noisy. The full stadium was behind the team, and I'd like to see more of that at Celtic Park. I know it's difficult, and one of the things that stands out being at Anfield and comparing it to Celtic Park is that Liverpool don't really have any ultras groups, so to speak, and I think at Celtic Park the atmosphere has become so dependent on the ultras groups to sort of lead it, and then the rest of the stadium almost doesn't take part anymore. But I'm happy with basic chants because we need to make it noisy. We need to back the team, push them forward in these last 13 matches. And I'd like to see a bit of that fight and passion in the crowd starting tomorrow. What we've got now in the team, in the squad, is all we've got to go to the end of the season. We need to push the team on, hopefully starting tomorrow. Let's hope for a good performance. I don't expect brilliant, scintillating attacking football because we've really struggled to get there this season, but I think together we can push the team on and hopefully get a good run of wins as we head towards the split. Now let's get into the team then. A few big talking points this week in terms of the lineup. We'll start with Joe Hart in goals, who, to be fair to him, had to earn his money last weekend. He made some really good saves. He was commanding at times as well. He made good saves at Pittodrie. I think in the last couple of weeks he has really came up big when we've needed him with saves at important times in the games. So credit to him for his recent performances. Joe Hart. Alistair Johnston's still out training, but not able to have contact due to that injury he took to his face at Easter Road. Hopefully he's not going to be out too long. I think they're just trying to keep his fitness up with the training. It feels like one of those situations where he might come back, maybe wearing some face protection or something, I don't know, but Ralston will continue to deputise at right back. I think we'll see Welsh and Scales start together again, and Greg Taylor will return at left back, which I think is a boost. Bernabe, slightly better performances, maybe Easter Road in the second half, and maybe a wee bit better against St Mirren last Sunday, but I think it's still a boost for us to bring Taylor back in. I think he's a better player. Now, I know long-term going forward, we need to address that position, and I think we can improve on Taylor as well, but I think he's a much more reliable contributor than Bernabe, and I think he's a welcome return to the team tomorrow. Now, the big talking point was sort of middle to front last weekend. Bernardo dropped out. Kyogo played just off Adam Idah in a deeper role. We had McGregor and O'Reilly in midfield. I can't make my mind up whether the manager's going to do that tomorrow. Obviously, Kilmarnock might pose a different problem to St Mirren. I think we will go with it. I think we need to see it in home games, so I'm going to go McGregor and O'Reilly. Bernardo, I think, to stay on the bench because of the struggles we've had from time to time at home this season. I think he'll try it. I think we saw enough positivity from it last weekend, and it gives us something different, something that we haven't seen so often this season. I know that a lot of supporters like the idea of having two strikers on the pitch, despite the fact that football's moved so far away from the traditional 4-4-2 and having two out-and-out strikers on the pitch up there against a pair of centre halves. But I think the manager will stick with something like this tomorrow. So I'm going to go Kyogo to play slightly withdrawn from Adam Idah, Maeda on the right hand side, Palma on the left, and obviously the loan signing through the middle. I think Idah didn't do enough last weekend, I don't think. A couple of balls up to him where we were able to play off him, but I think you can see where the limitations are maybe in his game. I know it's really early days and I don't like to judge players too early. Definitely not before they've played 10 games, but I think you can see what his strengths are and you can see the areas that he still needs to develop in his game even this early on. I think for Kyogo, yes, you want him to be in behind defenders, and I think that's a bigger problem for defenders where he's constantly on the shoulder, he's constantly looking to run in behind. But as we've seen this season play out, we haven't been able to get the ball to him, we haven't been able to play those passes in behind defences for him to pose that kind of threat. And so that means that for him to come deeper, he's a bit more involved in the build-up, and he arrives later in the box. I know his movement has been exceptional and that's one of his biggest strengths, but I think last weekend you see it with the goal. McGregor releases Palma down the channel and Kyogo manages to time his run late to arrive onto the ball and finish it first time into the far corner. Again, how that'll play out in a home game, maybe Kilmarnock sitting deep in the first half, maybe that can help us with Kyogo arriving late if we can get good service from the wide areas, which again has been a huge problem for us all season. Another big talking point in terms of the wide positions is the situation with Liel Abada. Brendan Rodgers covered it at length today. It took up most of the questions, to be honest, in today's press conference with the manager. It's a difficult, complex situation, and I think the circumstances are obviously going to lead to Abada leaving Celtic. It's not something that anybody can control. I know there's some wide array of opinions on it in terms of Abada's position, but I think the one thing that can't be debated is that he's clearly not in the right headspace to play for Celtic. That's why he's been taken out of the fire, so to speak. Not going to be involved tomorrow, wasn't involved against St Mirren last weekend. It looks like, could there be a loan deal? I don't know. There's only maybe a few countries where transfer business can still be done, but it looks like certainly in the summer the club will part ways with him. It's not great for us from a footballing perspective because he's missed a lot of this season, and before the problems that we find ourselves in now had caused issues for Abada. We were looking for him to come back because we were short of quality and short of options in the wide areas. We have had Nicholas Kuhn come in, so that sort of replaces him in terms of numbers, but it doesn't look like Abada is going to be able to contribute much, if at all, between now and the end of the season. So we need the wide players to step up. Palma better last weekend, puts the ball in obviously for Kyogo's goal, but also puts the cross in for O'Reilly, hits the bar, comes back to Maeda. A little bit better, I suppose, in terms of making his decision early. I'd like to see more conviction from him. Palma, we've talked a lot about his weaknesses in recent weeks and months. We need big performances across the pitch, and as I say, back to that last game against Kilmarnock, we need them to stand up to the physicality that Kilmarnock might bring to the game. I want to see an aggressive performance with the ball and without the ball. And I'd like to see us create some more chances. As I say, last weekend was a good performance, decent performance, away at a difficult venue that's often proven challenging for us. But tomorrow at home at Celtic Park, I want us to go and be aggressive and attack and create as many chances as we can, and hopefully that can lead to a few goals for us. It's obviously tight at the top of the table. We have seen in years gone by league titles come down to things like goal difference. Who knows where it'll end up this season? There is still plenty of games to be played, but it's all about Celtic's level of performance, and we've got to push that on for where it's been, and hopefully build on that good performance we had at St Mirren last weekend. So there you go. That's who I think the manager will go with tomorrow. Do you think Kyogo will play in that deeper position? Do you think Idah will keep his place, or do you think we'll go back to something more familiar in terms of maybe Bernardo coming back in, the three in midfield, and Kyogo leading the line? Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll see you tomorrow with all the post-match reaction, and the post-match pint is back from Malone's as well, so join us for that tomorrow. We'll see you then. Cheers.